So they literally went from Rich Campbell in 1981, and they didn't draft another quarterback in the first round till Aaron in 2005.
Oh, my gosh.
That's why you got to pick a quarterback once in a while, because you don't want to go 25 years and just hit and hope.
Shut up and sit down. And sit down.
What's up, Wisconsin, from the Inside Wisconsin studios? My name is Trevor Thomas, joined each and every episode, every other week, with my guy, John Anderson. John, put the fire out. Everything's on fire.
It is, doesn't it? It seems very odd. Everything's great, and we were looking for the draft, and then Aaron Rodgers I don't know if it's Aaron Rodgers or if it's on my end. I don't know if Adam Schefter lit the wick on this thing, and now it's all out of control. So I don't know if it's on your end or my end, but all I know is that you're right. We have some angst. Like I want to get to Charlie Berens soon enough, but I think people are going to want to sort of sort through their emotional feelings of what's happening right now at the quarterback position.
It's emotional. That's
because you're struggling, dog.
I'm sorry I'm blowing up your phone. It's just every day something else comes out. I mean, it's literally, okay, so nobody can blame Shefty, right? He's your colleague. Apparently, this thing was getting doused in gasoline, and all he did was sneeze. And whammo. Like, that started the fire, and now, I don't know, man. Like, maybe it's too personal for us. That's what this whole show is based on. So
who's right and who's wrong? Who's right and who's wrong?
Well, I think that's the $1 million question. What's your opinion?
Here's who's right. Read Pete Doherty in the Green Bay Press-Gazette. Pete, great journalist, has written for the Press-Gazette for a long time. Fine Missouri graduate of the journalism school. But Pete and I are in school about the same time. I think he has it right. My gut feeling here is that there's a little drama queen side on Aaron Rodgers. I understand his point of view that, yep, okay, I'm mad that we've drafted that guy. I don't necessarily espouse to the opinion that the higher-ups have to include me all the time. I don't know at what point you rank high enough in the organization that now personnel decisions have to be run through you. I guess you could have, a courtesy, said, hey, we're going to look at finding a guy because our backup quarterback situation, when you break your collarbone, as you notice, we don't win any games.
Yeah, bad day.
If that guy turns out to be the right guy, awesome. But I don't necessarily think that means you have to be put out the door. The thing I wonder is, even if somebody had told Aaron that we're going to draft that guy, if that makes it any better. It's still the guy. You still drafted him. He's still there. I don't know that just by saying that eases everything and now it's better. I think there's more. I think that's a convenient in point and a leverage point. I think the Packers have every right to look out for the long-term health of the franchise. And that's where it comes to. And as you said, so you grew up, how old were you when Brett Favre took over?
90 what? What year? 96?
Right?
92? That's what I thought. Okay, so 97 was the Super Bowl, 96, 97. So I was 9.
10. So your entire life has been nothing but success.
Yeah. For the
so
Packers.
If you are my age and the Packers won the Ice Bowl and Super Bowl II when you were 2 and then went right? And you've lived through this. This was the original reason people were scared of Favre, because they had lived through this. Bart is gone. And now here is Scott Hunter. Here is Jerry Tagey. Here is Jim Delgazo. Here is Blair Keel. Here is Carlos Brown. Here is David Whitehurst. Here is Jim Zornford. We went through all this. So now all of a sudden you have this stability at the quarterback position. Andy's good. Yeah. You had Magic in there for a season. You had Lynn Dickey for a couple. But all those people my age were terrified. Oh, my God, are we going back into this abyss of 15 years and 20 quarterbacks? Right? So that was the original. Now here comes Aaron. He goes through. But having said that, living through those things, you've got to go take care of your franchise. And so Aaron Rodgers, as good as he is, and he can play to 42, I got to have a guy after that, because I don't want to go back to this thing where we have 20 years of, and if I have a chance, everybody talks about, oh, it's a premium position and franchise quarterbacks are few and far between, and you've got one. Okay, but you know what? I might need another one. Jordan Love might not be that. Don't know.
Right.
But we're drafting him hoping he is. So if they're that hard to find, and I've got a chance that one falls to me, like it did back with Aaron, then I got to take the guy, and I got to figure out how to massage things around there. Maybe they could be doing that better to some degree. But I think it's foolish that we just go, okay, that's it. I can't play there anymore. I got to go. I think that's foolish.
That sucks for everybody. And as fans and owners, we talked about this a little bit. It's hard not to take it maybe too far in terms of being personal, right? I'm not saying that we as fans or people that own stock, which means nothing, by the way. Let's just get that out of the way. You have no say. It's just a thing. But we take it personal, maybe because that's just who we are as a state. Listen, it just feels yucky. Favre retired 10 times. Like, I remember Brett Favre saying he was going to retire in 2000 or what. I mean, it was over and over, and it was just like it was never ending. And then all of a sudden it ended, and they chose Rodgers and traded Favre to the Jets, and all this happened. And that's just when Brian Braun, by the way, my buddy Brian, hit. But long story short, this doesn't feel that way, John. Like, it almost seems like something happened. They cut Jordy, they cut Kumaro. Brian came in. Ted Thompson drafted Rodgers. Brian is a protege of Ted Thompson. And in one season with Jordan Love behind him, who never suited up for a single game, not a single game.
Doesn't seem like she'd be a threat.
What am I missing? This is so odd, and that's what makes it feel yucky. And listen,
right. Oh my gosh, he cut Jake. Jake either was hurt or caught 12 passes. There's 100 guys you can get like Jake. I get you got him, but you can improve Jake. So I'm going to try and improve on Jake. Jordy Nelson had come to, just as he had in many other cases, you come to a cost relationship analysis, and where he is and what he's going to cost anymore isn't there. And when he left, the Raiders didn't pay him what the Packers were going to pay him, right? People get this is 30 years in the television, in sports journalism. People get too attached to their people. I get it. You talk about them turning the back. The thing is, with you as a fandom, you're never going anywhere, right? You can't fathom an instance where you're not a Packer fan.
No.
Right? So there's no end date, right? And at 42 or 52 or 85 or 90, you don't have an end date. Athletes have an end date. They get their feelers hurt, right? They got to be respected. They want to do it. Whether that respect is, I need to be informed. For some of them, it is the cost of their paycheck. It is whether it's playing time. There's all different ways that we need to make sure, if you're an athlete, that I feel respected and taken care of. But in the end, every one of them's going to go. Everyone's going to leave. Everyone's going to retire. Nobody plays forever. Tom Brady, believe it or not, is going to end. By the way, Tom Brady, I don't know if you know that, he doesn't play for the Patriots anymore.
Yeah, got it.
He won 6 Super Bowls, doesn't play for the Patriots anymore. Peyton Manning, remember him? Didn't end with the Colts. Name me a Packer fan. Name me a great Packer that ended his career. Favre left. Reggie White left. Vince Lombardi left. Curly Lambeau left. Forrest Gregg left. Paul Hornung and Jim Taylor ended up with the Saints. Like, it happens. My point is, it just happens. And so we have to learn we got adults, and here's how it is. And there's a chance Aaron Rodgers doesn't play anymore. And guess what? On Sunday, if you go to Lambeau Field at noon, they'll have a quarterback. They're going to run somebody out there. Like, there's never been a guy that never once have they gone out there purposely and played with 10 guys.
What's your prediction?
And by the way, I'll tell you the most famous 10-man play ever in football that you might remember. My prediction, I think, I'm going to go in the minor. I think he is stubborn enough that he's going to wait and wait and wait. But I think eventually he realizes that this is the place that he can win. And he can get paid. And I think they extend him. And that's fine. You should. Listen, there's no – if you have Jordan Love as your backup and you end up with 5 great years out of Aaron Rodgers, and he's motivated to play like he did last year, and you got to sell Jordan Love off for a 5th or 6th pick, it's still been successful. And then you can draft the next guy. Listen, I don't have to have him. So I think you can probably do that, but somebody is going to have it all goes down to who has to swallow it.
Yeah.
Who's the one that has to swallow it? I don't think Aaron's going to swallow it. So he's going to have the Packers are going to have to make some move there. But also, if I'm them, I only go so far. And then I go, listen, in the end, the Green Bay Packers are going to still be playing in 2030. and I need to make sure we're set for 2030.
Yeah, I just don't see the Green Bay Packers saying, we screwed up here. Sorry, Aaron. And Brian was self-reflective that he could have communicated in a different way with Aaron in regards to the Jordan Love pick. I would love a joint press conference where they got on the same page and said, listen, both sides could have done this better, but we're going to teach all of you young fans something right now. You can work through this. Let's go win a Super Bowl. That would be the ideal situation. John,
so I had that, by the way, as the least possible situation.
Yeah, fair.
That everybody's going to be a grown up and play nice, but we'll see. That would be great, but that would be the ultimate shocker in this thing.
It would, and
and the Packers have already groveled. You say you want that? They've already groveled.
What does that mean?
What do you mean they've groveled? They've all gone out and made pilgrimages to go see him. They've talked about changing the money. There probably is a contract offer that they're going to they've already kind of gone hat in hand with him and said they're sorry. Packers have the money and they have his contract. What's his leverage?
I don't know. That's the question everybody's asking themselves. What is the purpose behind all this? I don't know. How does it get here? Let's move on for a second because Charlie Berens is in the waiting. John, you're not on social media by choice, even though I think that we're going to change that eventually. So when you heard Charlie Berens was coming on Inside Wisconsin, you're like, what?
Well, no, I'd seen a little of his work. I saw a little of his work before the playoff game. And just because I do not have a social media account does not mean I'm unaware of it or that I cannot find it. I follow I don't follow, but I look and I read Bucci Mane. I look and see what Adam Schefter is up to. I read religiously Super 70 Sports, which you should to get educated, which is fantastic. Where he shows old playground equipment where kids my age used to get thrown off teeter-totters and scalded down slides and nobody said a word. We just kept playing and our parents were like, whatever, the junior's fine out there. And all of it would be now barred by OSHA and people would get thrown in jail. So I am aware. Just because I'm not on it doesn't mean I'm not aware. I wasn't on the Titanic. I was aware it sank.
And we also learned from Dick Leinenkugel that was a bunch of crap with Lake Wissota. I'm excited to – nobody else knew that. Listen, we're really excited to have Charlie Berens, the host of the Manitowoc Minute, join us here on Inside Wisconsin.
Shut up and sit down.
Charlie Berens joining us on Inside Wisconsin. Charlie, thanks for being here, man. We can't wait to talk to you.
Thanks for having me. It is an honor to be here. I'm just trying to center myself in this frame, but as I look at it, I keep shifting. So I have a hard time with mirrors. I apologize for that.
No
I'll just try to stay put.
It's all right. Listen, because if you're too far right or too far left, there's all kinds of connotations with that. So we need to keep you,
dead center.
Right here if we can.
Yeah, as moderate as possible. Okay.
Where's the guy that sounds like the Manitowoc Minute fella?
Oh, geez Louise, this guy, he lives in my head at all times, okay? So he's here whenever you want him. And honest to Pete, he's the preferred fella here if we're going preferred fellas, okay? So here at all times, ready to, stand on guard and defend the great state of Wisconsin from any naysayers. So, yeah.
What's kind of fascinating about that accent or that character is you grew up here, Charlie. You're from Wisconsin. Mm-hmm. And then you went off and did the whole actor, comedian thing, which you're still doing today. But somebody told you along the way that you had to get rid of your Wisconsin accent. And I find it hilarious that ultimately what launched your career to the point it is today is a Wisconsin character. So what's up with that?
Yeah, so I was doing local news and different kinds of news for a number of years, and I went around the U.S. I did Dallas, South Carolina, D.C., Los Angeles, and news in each location and some form of news. And really the thing that was consistent was at some point or another in each of these jobs, I was reminded of my Wisconsin accent. Because in broadcasting, you're trying to sound as neutral as possible. But certainly if you're down south, if you're going to have an accent, the Midwest one doesn't really work. If you tell a bunch of people in Texas on a hot day to go find a bubbler, well, they think you're talking about a device you use to smoke the devil's lettuce, okay? They don't think you're talking about watering situations. So And then I had an instructor at one point to be a little bit more, abrasive about how I needed to get a voice coach if I wanted to have a future in the business. So anyway, I did. And you can change the voice coming out of your mouth. But like I said, you can't change the one coming out of your head. And so I developed a stand-up character that took everything that people said was wrong about him. And I doubled down on that. And that character did well in the clubs. So I made it into a video. And that was a few years ago. And I was very fortunate to find that.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I had the same thing, except now, because I spent many years journalism school in Missouri and then worked at Oklahoma. I come back now and people go, you sound like you're from the South. I'm like, no, I just sound like I'm from nowhere.
Right.
When you come through there, yeah. But I find that you can lose sort of the accent. You can get that more sort of in the middle where people that's sort of nomadic and from nowhere, but you can't hide the vocabulary.
No.
And that, right, whether it's a bubbler or different things, or just the fact that you know what a deer whistle is or a block eater, right? Like those are the things that are still telltales.
Yeah.
Or you can find another one like yours, right? Like when you can, like, here are all the penguins on the ice cap, but I can find mine because I know who those people are by what they talk.
Because you bump into each other and you're like, oh, and then you're like, I know where you're from. You just gave me an OPE. Okay.
Right. You completely give yourself away.
Yep.
Right. But now, so you develop the character and he's very funny, but he comes back, and do you ever come home or you're home and you're like, okay, people aren't getting this because they really think that I sound like the guy who is next door and willing to mow my lawn when I'm out on vacation.
Right. Well, look, there are a lot of people who are like, I don't get what you're doing. Nobody sounds like that here. But the way they say that is like, I don't get what you're doing. Nobody sounds like that here. No, sir. Jeez Louise, honestly, it's so exaggerated. So if you find yourself being someone who's like, all he does is exaggerate it, well, you might just be exaggerating yourself and you don't even know.
So it's us.
So when you do that, when you look at this, what are some of the picadillos? What are some of the things that you look at that we turn the lens on ourselves and go, okay, here's where we're funny and here's where we're unique and different. And, when we start poking it at our own. Yeah.
I mean, I think it was, I didn't notice a lot of this either until like I was in a business that like pointed it out. Like I would say, like opinion, like with the hard O. And they were like, that's crazy. Why are you doing? I was like, how do you say opinion? Right. They're like, opinion? I was like, that's not how it's spelled.
No.
So, but there's a lot of things like that I think I've just accumulated over the year. Or saying like, I went ass over tea kettle or a horse apiece or I screwed the pooch. I've said all those things. And people are like, wait, what'd you do to the dog? I was like, no, it's not like, no. It's just, I messed up. I screwed the pooch. They're like, you got to find a better phrase for that. I was like, my grandpa used to say that. So I think it's like all those things that over time you absorb what people think is particular. And then, those were the things I focused on. And honestly, once I started, a lot of fans sent me stuff too. Right. So then you get ideas that way. And that's what I like about the thing is it's very much so built by the fans as the fans of Wisconsin and my stuff as much as it's built by me. So
are you sorry or are you sorry? And do you borrow stuff off people?
Borrow off you? Yeah. Will you borrow me your tractor there? And sorry. I mean, honestly, sorry's, so I've been sorry before, and then it's, but sorry is a much different. Sorry is like the formal. You say sorry when you're in church. Sorry is just kind of like, when you're at the bar and it's like, oh, I'm sorry, spilt your beer all over you. Oh, geez, Louise, that you just bought that, huh? Well, I unfortunately don't have my wallet. Sorry,
Yeah.
So that's how that goes.
Use guys is another one. Texas has y'all. We have use guys.
The pluralizing the you is just the most brilliant form of English that I've ever experienced. And you can't go wrong with that. Anytime you're trying to, and I's too, so I was out there last week and I says to some of, use and says, pluralize says as well. There's so many good ones.
Fantastic.
That's fun. Did anybody else have a washroom, or was I the only one?
Yeah. Yeah. So no, I feel like that I know exactly what you're talking about. I feel like that was like your grandparents had to put an R in wash for some reason, and that still sticks around. Also, like zinc, kind of getting wash it in the zinc, so kind of all blends together. Those are some goofy ones. Funny thing is, like, it can even get hyper specific for like Sheboygan's got its own like, oh yeah, they're hate kind of thing. And then you get up to the Twin Cities and they don't really know what a bubbler is. Like even that close, they don't know what a bubbler is. So you got to retool those jokes when you're touring up around the cities. And
that's funny.
Yeah.
So Charlie, back us up, man. Inside Wisconsin is all about the people, the stories, and the statriotism of America's Dairyland. You are from Wisconsin. You grew up here. You went to UW-Madison. Give us, I mean, you joked that you were mass produced. That's how Catholic you were, right? Give us the story. Where'd you grow up?
1 of 12. Grew up in the suburbs of Milwaukee. 1 of 12. Big, and when you're 1 of 12, people got questions. They're like, oh, geez Louise, 12 kids. Holy smokes. Well, are you Catholic there? Okay, or are you Mormon, or are you homeschooled? What's going on there? And you're like, yeah, no, all three. Yeah. No, I wasn't homeschooled. That's just a joke. It wasn't homeschooled, but no. So big family, and it's just big Catholic family, born Catholic, raised guilty, that kind of situation. Yep. And yep. And do you feel me? Are you Catholic as well? Do we have other Catholics?
Catholic girl? I know all about that. I think John's Protestant.
I'm not, but what I have found since I've moved to the East, where I find I have many more coworkers and everybody that are Jewish, and they're always like, here's how you remember it. Catholics do guilt and the Jews do shame. It's the same thing. It's just a different denomination.
Yeah, exactly. Well, you get the deal. So got the guilt thing going, and just grew up. We would go up north every year, up to the UP Wisconsin border, and then my grandparents are from Fond du Lac, so just got a little pieces of different places of Wisconsin, and just tried. I didn't even try. I just absorbed the stuff over the years, and then at some point when I was doing a job I didn't like, I kind of turned to my roots to rescue me from that, not knowing that it would, but it was a pleasant surprise,
Cool.
Do you tell, because a lot of times the other one, when you have, I'm trying to think of families that I knew that were with a ton of Gillises that I grew up with, had a lot of kids, and Zukowskis, and it was always clarified with 12 kids, but no twins.
Yeah, exactly.
You always had to make this. No, this is 12 in a row, man. We just kept clipping them off.
That's so fun. Yeah, it's like they're giving you an out. They're giving you an out. Were there any twins, any adoptions? Yeah. All 2 parents, huh?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. And you see them doing the math in their head of what that means. I'm like, yeah, I know. I thought about that too. So.
Where are you in the birth order?
2. I'm second oldest. 2 of 12. 1 of 6. If you simplify the fraction, I got it all going. Yeah.
My sister, also Wisconsin, but she sent me a book one time on birth order, and I'm like, you've got 3 kids, birth order of 3. Anybody can do that, right? Like it takes some nuance to figure out the birth order of 12 and how those kids work out and who does,
Yeah, absolutely.
And by the time like if you're 2. Like the 12th one's how much, the last one's what's the age difference? Like at that point, you probably had to, it practically raise the kid.
Yeah, well, that's why they're so messed up.
I'm out, forget it. Take care of them.
I did this for you, you did this for them.
Pass it down.
I was 17 when my youngest sister was born. So that's kind of a whole thing, I guess. But you change a lot of diapers. Although I've said that before in other interviews, and my mom's like, you didn't change any diapers. And I was like, I feel like there's some revisionist history going on here, Mom.
Sure.
I really do remember changing diapers, but she definitely changed the lion's share. No questions asked there. So.
The host of the Manitowoc Minute joining us today on Inside Wisconsin. More with Charlie Berens in just a bit. We are Inside Wisconsin.
Shut up and sit down.
Helpful critiques, ideas, great stories, people we should know, the great bar in your town, the fish fry you want to know, the fish boil, anything that you want to reach out to us with. We are happy. We are here. You can be the inputters. We're here to listen.
Shut up and sit down.
Back with more. Charlie Berens is with us. And Charlie, when you go out and you're performing, as the radius go, let's say we start in Milwaukee where you're in, and you go out in the radius. At what point do you find that people are completely baffled by who this person is, and it's unrecognizable to them?
Oh, well, so the funny thing is when I've toured, people who have gone out and seen me know me, so they were fans. So it's always been like kind of a home audience, which it's nice in a lot of senses, but it also, as a comedian, we're used to, doing the clubs in LA where like nobody's going to automatically like you when you walk up on the stage. So you got to earn it a little bit more. But I started doing that Wisconsin bit in Los Angeles, and right there, people related to it. And that's what inspired me to do the videos to begin with. But I think they related for a couple of reasons. One, they're either from the Midwest or they know someone from the Midwest. And I think there were some pop culture things that made it kind of stick. Like Fargo obviously has like a very exaggerated accent as well. And then Making a Murderer was out, and people, Manitowoc is actually close to where that took place. So people had these sort of cultural touch points to a degree. So everybody gets it to an extent. You can do like 5 to 10 minutes of, pure Wisconsin material, I would say, on any stage in the country and be good. But, can you carry a whole show revolving around that? I think you want to change it up the more you get out. But a lot of the things, a lot of the bits do still hold their own, I think. So,
Charlie, you tell a story that when you were out in LA, the first job that you got hired for, a guy from Wisconsin hired you. And it reminded me that John was out in LA doing the Wipeout thing, and that whole crew was from Wisconsin. Did you guys ever cross paths? What's going on?
We're secretly dating. You've had no idea, did you, Trevor? I'm actually the ninth of the 12 Berens kids. You had no idea. I'm actually the ninth one.
Charlie, who hired you out there from Wisconsin?
That was Mark Herzog. Mark Herzog, he's from Elm Grove. His family's from Elm Grove, and great guy. He's got a production company out there called Herzog and Company, and they did like all the decade stuff on CNN, like the 60s, 70s, 80s. And then when I was there, it was a lot of behind the scenes production company type work. So I got coffee, but I also would go out on set and do like bring the cameras or whatever. And oddly enough, this is a fun story. Like the only reason I got promoted from like office PA, like the coffee getter, to set PA, which is where you get coffee on set basically, is because I had a minivan that I could move the equipment and they wouldn't have to pay for like a car rental or whatever, because I just had this minivan. The whole reason I had the minivan was because I accidentally shot it with my dad's shotgun and he made me buy it from him. So, that's a very Wisconsin story for how I progressed in my career. Most people are like, yeah, I worked hard. I got extra good at making that coffee. And I was like, it's always going to be hot and on time. They saw I was dependable. I was like, I just shot my dad's minivan. They needed the extra space. So luckily I shot out the back bucket seat and, it wasn't in the way. So
unreal.
Why did you have the firearm in the van, and how'd that get crossways?
Yeah, that's a whole other story, isn't it? Well, we went out pheasant hunting, me and my dad, my brothers, and my brother, did this thing, which is frowned upon in hunting. He forgot to unload his gun. And so we got home, and then, oh my gosh, and now I'm seeing like my batteries running on this. So I'm going to tell the rest of the story as I walk to get to my charger. Sure. But we got home, and my dad was like, pull out the birds, okay? And then he was like, pull out the clothes, the hunting clothes, and then pull out the gun. And so I pulled out the gun, and I pulled all of them. One went off, and it went boom, and it literally made the shotgun seat in this minivan a shotgun seat, with the big holes. Right. And so my dad was pissed. I mean, he's a big hunting safety guy. So you would imagine he's not happy about this. And he comes out, and I'm trying to blame it on on my brother Andy. You know, I'm like, this was Andy's gun, and it was. The problem is, though, I was holding literally a smoking gun, so that didn't that didn't play too well. And so anyway, he said, you just bought a minivan, and he sold it to me at the Kelly Blue Book level marked excellent, because apparently there was no place to check. Has Miner's shotgun blast on the interior. So, you know, you win some, you lose some, you know?
Oh, my God.
Did Andy get dinged for any of that? Like, you feel like maybe he should have charged, you should have paid a little in there on that cost.
Should have. No, instead he's paying residuals in me talking about it publicly every chance I can get, just so everybody knows the score. Yeah.
Jesus, that guy.
I know. Jeez Louise.
It is amazing.
Go ahead.
It's amazing what you can fall into with that kind of thing with the shot. Because I like to tell people I was captain of my college track team at the University of Missouri, but it had nothing to do with ability. We had so many guys on the team that were from Nigeria, and we would take these vans from the university, which now they don't let the kids drive them, but they'd be like, Anderson, Wisconsin driver's license, valid, pretty good kid, GPA 3.4. You're a captain. Get in the car and drive. So it's not quite the coffee thing, but it's very much in the same line of, you know, it sounds like maybe we're really good at this.
Yeah.
And as it turns out, we just have a vehicle, and that makes everybody's life easier.
Right. And we're really subpar at best. But, you know, that vehicle wins it out day in, day out.
Charlie, you've been telling stories about how you view Wisconsin through the lens of yourself and other people. I'm curious, though. You went to UW. We launched Inside Wisconsin just over a month ago with Barry Alvarez. Tell us the story of Charlie's time in Madison that mom and dad won't want you to tell. We want to hear it.
Well, I can't tell you that. You know, I'm not old enough yet to not get grounded. Okay, I'm still working my way out of that. No,
sure.
So we lived initially my sophomore year. We lived right across from the DoubleTree. So you know, right on Johnson. We lived right across from the DoubleTree in a triplex. Well, so we had an enjoyment, I guess you would call it, for Carlo Rossi, and we were also musical gentlemen by nature. So what we did was we would finish the bottles of Carlo Rossi and then take them to the basement. Well, first we would fill them with a little bit of water, and then took them to the basement because we wanted to develop this big chimes thing, you know? And the problem is when you fill a bunch of Carlo Rossi bottles, and I mean a bunch, I mean like over 100, with different levels of water, and you get the tune or whatever, but they're sitting down there for months and months and months. Well, sometimes that water spills, and sometimes it's actually a very conducive environment for mosquitoes. So then when you have a mosquito outbreak in your home and you just can't figure out where they're coming from, and then when you take everybody down for the, you know, weekly chimes event in the basement, and everybody comes up looking like, you know, they just got the chicken pox. Well, you know, they did something wrong. So, yeah, that was interesting. We learned a lot about, breeding habitats that year. So that was fun.
So you had a jug band, essentially.
It was a jug band. I thought it was pretty creative, to be honest with you. Now, the end picture of that with all those empty bottles, you know, realizing, and Carlo Rossi is not something you want to expose your liver to on a regular basis. So I can't recommend this for your viewership out there at all, but, you know.
This is why Trevor always gets his wine in a box. It avoids all those problems.
How Wisconsin is that?
Yeah,
avoid the temptation.
Now, were you a successful Wisconsin student there at Madison, or did you do like everybody else, had to take that freshman break after a while when we learned that sometimes the Carlo Rossi and the school doesn't work, and I'm going to go home for a while, completely free of shame happens, and then we go back, which is also a very Wisconsin and Madison thing to do. And then we finish up on the second time.
Yeah.
Did you go straight through?
No, I went straight through.
Yeah,
and
big time.
Yeah, I put the nose to the grindstone, or at least I got through it anyway. I think I did okay. I don't really remember my GPA. I don't remember it being fantastic, but it wasn't bad, but it really was not fantastic. But
I gave a graduation speech one time, and I've said to people, you know, here's the amazing thing. Now that you're getting diploma on this day, is I have never once, I'm 56 now, never once had any employer ask me to see it.
Me either. Yeah, no.
I could have said I was from Harvard and had my master's from MIT, and nobody would have.
So funny.
Nobody has once asked me to say, "Did you really go to Missouri, or did you just say that?"
Isn't that funny? Isn't that funny that we put so much of a value on that, and that's kind of the case with a lot of places? I think it's good and it's bad. It's bad that it costs so much to not necessarily need it, but it's good to show that you can really get experience. It kind of democratizes a lot of things if you can just get experience and what you want to do and really focus on that. I think that's good,
So, Charlie, being in showbiz and you came from journalism, when you posted that first Manitowoc Minute video, if my notes serve me right, June 19th, 2017, did you have any clue? I understand the idea of breaks, right? You got your break, and maybe you've had numerous breaks before that, but it seems different today. What were your expectations, and how blown away were you, and maybe are you today, that it's just never ending with you in Wisconsin and all of this?
Yeah, I mean, I look back on that because that was right after I had done that set at the Comedy Store in LA that kind of inspired the video bit. And actually, there was a guy in that audience who I was like, "Is anyone from the Midwest?" And he was like, "Me, I'm from Manitowoc," and I named it after him, And so, like, when I was first putting out the first episode, first of all, I was like, I don't know if this is going to be any good. I don't know if people are going to be offended because I don't think people know I'm from Wisconsin and know that this is just I wasn't sure. I wasn't sure how people would feel, but I put it out, and it was like the best viewed thing I had done in a long time. The only other thing that was that well viewed was if Jack Dawson was originally from Wisconsin, where I changed the voiceover. And so then it was like I knew that I could do this again next week. And luckily, since it was news-based, I was pretty well accustomed to editing and shooting and writing and telling jokes. And so I felt like all the skills that I had been building up and unsuccessfully doing for a number of years were finally coming together into this weird way. And I was equipped to, handle the fact that a lot of people wanted to see this again. Whereas if I didn't have those skills, it would have been so hard to turn another video in the next week.
I want to know about the one before the Packers game at Lambeau Field here recently during the playoffs. That was top drawer. How long did that take you to put together?
Are you talking about the one where I'm getting emotional or the one where I'm with Wayne Larrabee?
The emotional one.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So that one, that was a minute. We had a rough idea going in, but then me and producer Max Lesson I work with, we were on our way up to Lambeau, and we were like, what if we did something else? Because this idea we had wasn't playing. And then I was thinking of just like some sort of deep emotional, like parallel it with like one of those sad breakup films. So that was the idea, and we did it. And then shooting it, honestly, it edited together, I think, pretty quickly because when a song kind of drives it or when it's emotional, I think it comes together a little quicker because you're very in it and invested in it. Right. And it just makes it, I don't know, you get a little bit of a buzz when you're like, oh, this is going to be really good. You're kind of more excited to put it together. So that one came together pretty quick, I believe. And so it was just a lot of fun.
A lot of fun.
Yeah.
We'll wrap it up with Charlie Berens from the Manitowoc Minute and pretty much every other video online in Wisconsin that has like 7 million views. That's what you do best.
Oh, thank you.
More with Charlie here on Inside Wisconsin in just a bit.
Shut up and sit down.
Helpful critiques, ideas, great stories, people we should know, the great bar in your town, the fish fry you want to know, the fish boil, anything that you want to reach out to us with. We are happy. We are here. You can be the inputters. We're here to listen.
Shut up and sit down.
You are watching Inside Wisconsin. John Anderson, Trevor Thomas. All right, so usually we come together with some sort of a top five. You have a list, I have a list. They're dueling lists. In honor of the Packers drafts, okay? Because we've had some friction with Aaron Rodgers and the organization over the drafting of Jordan Love, but to sort of make a point, I'm not sure which point I'm making, but the Packers have drafted, by my count, 10 quarterbacks in the first round.
Okay.
Can you name 5 of them?
Ever?
Yeah. And next time I'll send you a media guide, but just see what you can do.
Okay. So Aaron Rodgers.
Perfect.
First round draft
We
pick.
got one. Bang. 2005. You're in it.
Apparently the guy that caused all the friction, or at least the Jordan Love.
Jordan Love picked. He was 2020. Aaron was the 24th pick. Remember, he slid down. Jordan, we go at 26. Okay, so you got two.
Bart Starr
Was in the 17th round, famously from Alabama.
17th round.
Yeah.
Oh, hey, I learned this. I learned this on this show. That guy from
It's right there.
West,
You got it.
Taggy?
Jerry Taggy from Green Bay West.
Yeah.
1972. You got three.
Huh.
Yeah. He did not have a long and illustrious career here, which is too bad, but he was a number one pick. He was the 11th pick overall.
I got to be honest, I don't think I can name 5 more Packer quarterbacks at this point, let alone ones that we drafted in the first round.
So there was one in between when I was in high school that you might be able to get, and he too was a bomb.
Yeah, I got to be honest. The furthest back quarterback that I knew before you told me about that Taggy guy was Starr, and then guess where my life picks up? Don Majkowski, and I don't think he was a first round draft pick.
Don Majkowski, as I recall, I think was a 10th round pick out of Virginia. Okay, so this one I would know. 1981, they drafted Rich Campbell out of Cal. He was the number one pick, 6th overall. Big. They thought they were finally going to sort of bridge the gap from when they were looking for Bart and not. So think about that. So they literally went from Rich Campbell in 1981, and they didn't draft another quarterback in the first round till Aaron in 2005.
Oh my gosh.
That's why you got to pick a quarterback once in a while, because you don't want to go 25 years and just hit and hope.
Fair.
Anyway, Don Horn, you should know, right? He was drafted. Go ahead.
That's the first time I've heard his name in my entire life. Who's that?
So he was quarterback San Diego State. He was drafted 25th. That's in the first round. The Packers had it. He was drafted in 67. You know what that meant? That means they were winning championships and they still had Bart Starr. And oh, by the way, they drafted a quarterback in the first round. Oh, these things happen. You should probably know Randy Duncan because he played at Iowa. He was a number one draft pick. Overall.
Oh, how many times have we done that? How many times have we had that pick?
Boy, I don't know. I don't know if he might not be the only time. No. Here's another one. They would 1957. I don't know if you want to count it. Paul Hornung was the number one overall draft pick. He played quarterback at Notre Dame on a horrible 2-8 team, still in the Heisman, but was a tailback here. So I don't count him.
Okay, but he was the first overall.
First overall, yeah. Babe Pirelli, very famous guy at Kentucky that played there. I think it was Kentucky. Packers drafted him number one too. So there you have that. The other guy you might know is he's a Hall of Famer, Cecil Isabel, but he quarterbacked, and that was back when you had a halfback that played tailback and quarterback. But you should know Aaron Rodgers, you should know Jordan Love, you should know Rich Campbell, you should know Jerry Taggy, and you probably should know Randy Duncan, just for future reference.
And your point in all this is that this has happened before.
And it's hard to find a guy that's good. Name any of those guys that you that did anything.
One of them.
So Jordan Love might not be good.
Yeah.
I hope he is, but it's a risk, and I think you got to take that. This week's top 5 for you is, since the draft is 7 rounds.
Yeah,
these are guys, the best 5 players the Packers have drafted in their history, 8th round or deeper.
Back when there was more rounds. All right.
Right. So these guys. Okay. So number 5, Larry McCarron.
Oh, the Rock.
12th round draft pick. 1973 at Illinois, right? So he was terrific. 4, 11th round pick, Marv Fleming, tight end. Replaced is it Kramer? Not Jerry, the other one. Ron Kramer. Played on 2 Super Bowls, played 6-7 years, then went off to Miami and played. He's the first guy to play in 5 Super Bowls. Because then he played in some with Miami. 3rd, another lineman, played on championship teams, Ken Bowman. Do you ever know the name Ken Bowman?
Nope.
Ken Bowman was a center. He went to Wisconsin. He served as an attorney. I think he was an assistant DA or DA. He was a prominent attorney in Green Bay for many, 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 many years. He played, I think he was the center on the first 2 Super Bowl teams and played for about a decade. So he'd have played 60, 667-ish to 75, 76. Number 2, Hall of Famer Tony Canadeo.
Okay,
right?
got it.
He's from way back in the day, but he was a 9th round pick from Gonzaga, which made him unusual, Gonzaga.
That name I know.
And so then the number one guy that would have been a super late round draft pick, you hit upon him.
Art Starr.
Art Starr, 17th round pick, Alabama. Played both ways. Some people thought he might have he was kind of slight of build, but he was actually in college might have been a little better safety than he was a quarterback.
And how do you think Bart Starr, the coach, would have handled what's going on right now?
That would have been really amazing to figure out how that would have gone. To have a quarterback as your coach is, my guess is in any of those cases, you got to be all in with your player and throw management under the bus. Go ahead and say, hey, I'm on your side in this thing. I know you're balancing, but to have the effective relationship and do that, like I think LaFleur has to be all in on Aaron's side on this. So I think Bart would have gone all in on Aaron.
So let me just ask real quick then. You think Matt LaFleur has to literally break ties in this situation with the 2 guys that hired him?
Nope. No, he's just got to manage that. I just think he has to go, Aaron, in this one, I am on your side. I want you back. You're my quarterback. How do I help bridge the gap? I bet Charlie Berens knows how to handle these things.
Ask him.
Shut up and sit down.
We are back inside Wisconsin. John Anderson, Trevor Thomas, and Charlie Berens.
So, Charlie, we keep talking about how you see Wisconsin and how you portray it and how you put it out there. As you go about and do, how do other people see us? Because every time I watch somebody at Lambeau Field and I see the cheese on our head, I'm like, you're not helping the stereotype of who we are at all. Mm-hmm. What feedback do you get from people, how they see folks from Wisconsin?
Well, I think they see us just like that, honestly. I don't think it's easy to get away from the stereotype that's been presented. But I think I view the stereotype as like a starting point and then kind of dropping in at that, because that's where people already see you. It's kind of like if you're a comedian and you're stepping up on stage, people are just people and they're going to go for the easiest thing of what you look like, so that you kind of embrace that initially. That's a comedic technique. But in the same way with Wisconsin, we've had this for decades now. And so that's going to be the first thing people think of: Dairy State cheese, cheesehead Packers, da-da-da-da. But I think if you start there and then build out, people can over time maybe see a different or more complete picture. That's my hope anyway.
And then just to the work, you said when you get up there on stage, I watch people and they perform in front of crowds, but there's either an opponent or there are 5 teammates, and people like explain, if you can, sort of the nakedness of standing up there and you go on stage and you hope people like it, but there's a chance it's subjective and they don't. But just what that's like, whether it's, I don't know if it's the uncomfortability or the dread or the rush, but you're out there and it is all on you. There's nobody else.
Yeah. I remember when I was first getting into stand-up in LA, I did a stand-up show and I bombed so terribly hard. Like, I thought it was hilarious and I thought it was good and I kind of memorized it and I had it ready to go. And then just hearing the dead silence, especially when you're delivering a line like it's going to crush.
Right.
And then nothing. And so when you do that and you decide to go out and do it night after night, like a lot of guys do and what women do when they're starting up in comedy, you kind of get accustomed to bombing and you get a sense of what that feel is. And it's good to bomb, especially early on in your career when you're doing those open mics. So you know that feeling, you know how to rescue yourself in that moment. But then when you get to the point of doing a larger show, I had like 10 good minutes and then I got asked to do an hour-long show. And of course, you're like, yeah, we can do it. Now we're like, oh, man, how are we going to do this?
Right.
That ability and confidence to bomb really helped say, okay, I can take a few more risks here on stage because if it bombs, I know what to do. And then you slowly build it out from your 10 minutes and you go into your kind of life story, and then also what, in my case, what Wisconsin kind of means to me. And you double down on that, and recognition is very important. And then it's kind of leap of faith. You test as much material as you can before you go out on stage in front of people. But then it's a leap of faith, and every night's different. Some nights certain jokes crush, other nights they don't. It's important not to let a joke go just because it didn't do well one night. You gotta really feel it out and allow yourself to not just be memorizing things and saying them, but allow yourself to sort of like encompass the emotion more than anything else, because people respond to emotion almost more than they respond to the words. And if you look at a guy like Richard Pryor, for instance, who just like really was the first one to bring that emotion to stage. I mean, that's where a lot of that comes from.
Well, listen, it is a bold profession because there's no second string. We don't get to call in the backup when you get out there. And as George Carlin famously said, right, if you go out and do great, you killed. And if you don't, you died. So either way, somebody's getting the bad end of that. So,
yes, that's
all right,
true.
Trevor, go ahead. Let's rip through some of these. What do you got for us this week? I can't wait to hear.
I would like to know
much greater depth than mine.
Well, this one isn't too far in depth. Charlie, you're from Wisconsin. You're probably a Packer fan. What does the host of the Manitowoc Minute understand? What the hell is going on with Aaron Rodgers?
Well, here's the deal with Rodgers. Honest to Pete, if I were to be, frank with you, I'd tell you this about Aaron Rodgers, and that's the fact that, I've been saying this a long gosh darn time. I've been saying it before anyone else has been saying it. And honest to Pete, I just don't know. And so,
Great. Thanks for clearing it up for us.
No, anytime you want any more questions, you come to me first because, I've been doing my research on the Rodgers for a long time. And that's the definitive answer there. I don't know. So,
Charlie, what's up north to you?
Up north is anything, you know what, honest to Pete, this Charlie's going to take that. First of all, up north is it's a state of mind as much as it is a state of location. So for some folks up north could be, Cudahy. Okay. And to that I says, what are you doing living in Beloit? But they don't like that. And so, Beloit's beautiful this time of year, honest to Pete. So anyway, and sometimes up north can be, geographically down south, but in your mental, it's up north. Okay. So you think about that. And so.
Got it. One more. What size is the duck jacket?
The duck jacket, thank you for asking. It is a medium, okay, but it's from the 1950s. And back there, a medium was a real medium, okay? Some people these days are making them mediums extra small. Well, geez Louise. No, that's an official medium from the 1950s. That was my dad's duck jacket, stole from him. He stole from his Uncle Heine. So, that's how it goes, He was a real good bullhead fisher back in the day, world championship bullhead fisher from the swamps right outside Lake Winnebago. They were rivers technically, but really just swamps. So, yeah. That wasn't really a lightning round, was it? That was more of a thunder round.
No, the lightning round is next.
Close.
That's
okay.
Well, I was okay. So that I know that Charlie he hunts. Does he fish as well?
Oh yeah, absolutely. He fishes. You bet your bottom dollar he do. Walleyes, fantastic walleye fisherman. Yeah, and I'll go live bait or spinners on that. Some people are like, I don't fish for walleyes with leeches. That's cheating. I says, what game are you playing, fella? Are we eating tonight or no? So I don't always have time for your spinner deals. Sometimes we got to, throw some quarter pounders with leech on the line and call her a day, So did that answer the question or no?
It does. Yeah. Trevor and I have argued. I told him, I don't think that fishing is a sport because one side doesn't know it's playing.
Well, yeah. I mean, what do the deer know they're playing either? I mean,
exactly.
Yeah. Well, we're all just in this game of life, though. And do we know we're playing that? So, you got to think about it that way, too.
Mm-hmm.
So
very good. All right. Well, these are open for either Charlie's here. First off, who's your favorite Packer of all time?
Reggie White. He was the number on my Packers locker as a kid. So Reggie White. Yeah.
In terms of full-on Wisconsin, how do we feel about Trevor's flannel shirt?
Honestly, it's a fantastic shirt. It is. It's a little bit more Nashville. It's a little cool. It's a Saturday nice shirt, honest to Pete. Geez, and you got a patch on there and
Harley.
everything.
It's a Harley shirt, guys.
Oh, is that a Harley one? Well, that must be from Harley's church variety of shirts. I mean, that is really nice. You wear that. That's nice enough to wear to a funeral, I would say. So
I think so.
Real good. Yeah.
Cheese curds, do you like them deep fried or we'll just eat them cold out of the bag?
I never am able to say it, in a definitive way. It just depends if I'm in a squeaky cheese curd kind of mood, which is usually mornings until about 4 p.m. But around 4:01, I like to get a little wild and crazy. I like to deep fry them. I do have to make sure I got a mound of Tums that I can snort after that. Otherwise, I'm going to bed with indigestion. So,
the Manitowoc Minute, Charlie, how long would it take him to correctly spell Antetokounmpo?
Yeah, Giannis is a great guy, so we got the A going.
Sure.
Yeah. And then, of course, after the A comes the N. Okay. And so, that happens a lot, like in or anaconda. Don't want none. Okay, anyway. So we're at the end. And, and then, of course, obviously, timeout, we got the T. And so Giannis is a great guy. Did I tell you that?
Yes, I love that. Sure.
Yeah.
Which is funnier? Which city, Egg Harbor or Blue Mounds?
Oh, yeah. Which one's funny? Well, you drop an egg in the harbor, you know what happens, don't you? You get yourself a sturgeon real quick one. So you didn't know they liked eggs, but yeah, especially if you deep fry them sunny side up, well, then you're really getting it. And then, Blue Mounds is fantastic because the mounds are really green, but it's like, did you get some of that, new Delta 8 cannabinoid or something when you were naming that place? Were you a little, high on the devil's lechuga? What were you thinking? So anyway, that's a thing though. A lot of funny named towns in this place.
And then the last one I have, and this is a tribute to some of your past work. I'm going to name 3 names. You tell me which one of these people doesn't have an Emmy. Charlie Berens, Trevor Thomas, John Anderson. Which one of those 3 people does not have an Emmy?
Is it Charlie Berens?
I don't think that is the correct answer.
Oh, geez, Louise. Then I give up. You're making me pick here, and I'm only going to run my nose into a garage door.
Look.
Look
wow.
at that.
Look at that. You got 2 of them sums of guns.
And then Charlie's got one. And Trevor has a participation trophy from Swing Choir or something, I think.
That is first place Pinewood Derby trophy. Thank you very much.
Honest to Pete, that is a one to be flexing with right there.
Thank you.
Louise. Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah.
Hey, as we let you go, Charlie, speaking of flexing, your dad is a doctor at Children's Hospital of Wisconsin. Tell us about what it's been like to have a guy in your life that is doing the work that he's doing. What does that mean to you?
Oh, yeah. He really does incredible work there, and he always has. And, seeing his dedication to it, when they spend all night on call and, especially being in his position, you develop relationships with kids, and then some of them tragically don't make it, and the emotional toll I can't really think of that, and of course my mom too, really taking on like a family of 12, and the teamwork that they kind of did growing up is just. I think about that sometimes. I think about my dad at my age, I think he had like 6 kids and was working all these hours at a hospital. I was like, yeah, well, Dad, I made a real good joke about Aaron Rodgers yesterday. What do you think about that? And I got a free lawnmower.
Right.
So cool, huh? He's like, but no, they're awesome. They both are, and I'm pretty lucky to have both.
Well, and I would think that your dad would agree. Laughing is the best medicine in life, Charlie. You bring joy to so many people on the regular, and as a lifetime Wisconsinite, I'm a huge fan, and I absolutely love what you do, and we're grateful that you came on Inside Wisconsin with John and I.
Oh, thank you. It's an honor to come on. I want you both to keep her moving, okay? And I'll say this because I like the emotional capacity to say I love you. Watch out for deer, okay? All right.
Keepers. That's how we're going to end it, huh? Okay.
Deer.
Well,
yeah.